let's get something that I'm passionate. I'm passionate, everybody. I'm passionate, okay? So this is something potentially problematic, but Biden's campaign assures us that they have an explanation. Marijuana reform omitted from Biden transition plan on racial equity despite campaign pledges. So this is 2 days ago. And so, if you don't know, one of the main reasons why I advocated for voting for Joe Biden in the general election is because he had a campaign pledge to decriminalize marijuana in all 50 states. Um, Kamala Harris was talking about that more so than Joe Biden. I know Joe Biden personally is not a huge fan of marijuana, but I also know that Kamala Harris is not personally a huge fan of marijuana. But Kamala Harris is a little bit of a cipher. You know, she does the whole classic wet your finger and see where the wind's blowing thing. So she knew that, decriminalizing marijuana is something that will get a lot of votes. Now, the Biden transition team, I'm going to read this article in a second here, they say that marijuana decriminalization is not being omitted because it's not happening, just that it's not going to be happening as like a first priority sequential order. So we'll see, but it's still something we need to talk about. And, if my fucking video gets like 100 views or something, I'm adding to the public pressure, right? I'm adding to the angry fucking people going like this on webcam. Or, ow, fuck. I just flailed my finger into my desk and that hurt. So as you can see, I am taking personal damage to report the news to you today. So, marijuana reform advocates have been looking for signs that an incoming president-elect Joe Biden will make good on his campaign pledge to pursue cannabis policy changes since the former vice president has been projected to win the election. But they didn't get any such sign in a new racial equity plan his transition team has put forward. While Biden emphasized on the campaign trail that cannabis decriminalization and expungements, not just decriminalization, but the expungement of records, which is extremely important, would be a part of his racial justice agenda, the plan released over the weekend omits any specific mention of marijuana reform. Many of the proposals are broadly described, however, and it's possible that a policy like decriminalization could be folded into a broader commitment to eliminate racial disparities and ensuing fair sentences, for example. I'm sorry, my body's making noises, please forgive me. In any case, there has been some skepticism on the part of advocates that Biden's stated support for cannabis reform will be matched with administrative action. And although he and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris have repeatedly promised to follow through with decriminalization and expungements if elected, that issue did not make the cut in the new commitment to uplifting black and brown communities. So I want to say this. Back when Bernie Sanders was running for the president, I read a lot of pieces. And I listened to a lot of interviews of people who are like, they study law and stuff. And they provided a list of things that a president could do on day one. And this list of things influenced the Bernie Sanders campaign. So, I want to say it was like David Dayen, I think, who had a good series on this of like executive actions that a president can do without Senate approval or House approval. So we're talking about you print out a bill at 11:58, right? You walk in at noon, you're the president now. Holy shit, that's epic. You sign the bill, marijuana is decriminalized. So Bernie Sanders pledged to do this on day one, meaning it's possible on day one. According to all the law, according to everything, it is possible to not only decriminalize, but to legalize marijuana on the first day of someone's presidency. So the idea that Joe Biden is not going to do a freebie on day one, it's a little problematic, and we need to make sure that he understands that this is something he can do and that he should do. There's no reason to wait until March. There's no reason to wait until May. There's no reason to wait until 2022 for goddamn sake. So let's keep reading. The page says Biden is working to strengthen America's commitment to justice and reform our criminal justice system, and lays out other specific promises that were often mentioned on the campaign trail alongside marijuana reform, such as a ban on police chokeholds and creating a national oversight commission to track law enforcement abuses. But cannabis reform is nowhere to be found in the transition team document. In contrast, a still live page on Biden's separate campaign site for his Plan for Black America that he rolled out while running for president included a pledge to decriminalize the use of cannabis and automatically expunge all prior cannabis use convictions. A Biden campaign spokesman, when contacted by Marijuana Moment, said about the omission of the cannabis pledge from the news site, at first argued that it was because the document is focused on economic equity issues, but when it was pointed out that the page also includes several criminal justice reform proposals, such as stopping the transfer of weapons of war to police forces. By the way, I'm going to take a moment to talk about that in a second. And other related measures, he replied that the omission of marijuana reform didn't signal a deprioritization of the issue. Nothing has changed, he said, adding that other priorities were of the incoming administration, such as LGBT rights, were also not specifically featured in the Build Back Better transition site. So you can read the rest of this article yourself. But one of the other things that happened after Occupy Wall Street was Obama and Biden, right? When Biden was vice president, we all forget that, right? I don't know if someone remembers that, but he was vice president for 8 years. Obama and Biden tried to rush through a kind of deal to transfer excess military equipment to police forces. That's why you see police with like literal APC tanks running through streets. That's why you see police with $15 trillion riot gear. That's why you see police with never-ending supplies of tear gas. That's why you see police with infinite ammunition. That's why you see police with all of this various fucking bullshit. Because there was this legislation passed where excess military equipment, and because they keep funding the military, right? If you give the military hundreds of fucking billions of dollars a year, right, they're going to develop new equipment. What are they going to do with the old equipment? Well, they could throw it in the ocean. They could meld it down and use the resources to do something productive for society. No, instead, they transfer that equipment to police forces, and then that police force uses that equipment to terrorize and occupy the city that they're supposed to ostensibly protect and serve. So, I just want to say, now, again, the Biden team has said that they're still going to do it. It's just not, like, in this specific plan, right? So, it's important to understand they didn't throw it off the board. It's also important to understand we'll have to wait and see. If Biden gets in there on day one, you bet your sweet bippy I'm going to be there on day one, and if he does not sign any marijuana decriminalization plan on day one of his presidency, you bet your sweet bippy ass motherfucking ippy I'm going to be out there every single day telling this motherfucker to get serious, because this is an important and serious life-changing measure that can be done with the stroke of a pen in 15 seconds. And there's no other reason why you wouldn't do such a thing as soon as possible, right? So I'm just throwing that out there. So we'll see what happens. But be skeptical, be aware, and, that's all. I'm giving you the news. I'm a newscaster. That's what I do. I cast the news. That's what I do.